Hello to all the dear audience. Welcome to the channel, where we explore valuable knowledge and develop ourselves comprehensively through great books. In today's video, we will explore a very important and necessary topic in the age of information explosion, which is critical thinking. We will learn how to cultivate and master this thinking through the book Critical Thinking: Tools for Taking Charge of Your Professional and Personal Life by Richard Paul and Linda Elder. Let's listen together. Have you noticed? It seems that many people have started to accept well-intentioned lies in leadership communication, doing something wrong, and when you carefully remind your boss, you are met with criticism. Offering feedback to friends or colleagues can often lead to anger or dissatisfaction from the other party simply because you have stated harsh truths. Then you regret saying the truth and begin to choose to lie so that others can accept it more easily because you don't want to offend anyone or impact relationships negatively. You consider this a well-intentioned lie and even believe that it is an effective way of communicating. But a lie is still a lie. It only leads us to evade issues and never truly resolve them. Viewing lies as a shield has caused many of us to avoid facing reality, resulting in much suffering and ineffective communication and work. For example, why did the Nokia empire collapse? A study from the INSIS Business School in Europe indicates that Nokia's decline was due to leaders constructing their personal monuments too powerfully, and when this became the culture of the entire company, subordinates only knew to applaud. Consequently, from the leaders to the employees, no one dared to face the truth, and they could not recognize the existing limitations, leading to their downfall. In all aspects of life, from family, between parents, children, and spouses, to businesses, governments, and nations, people often refuse to confront the truth. When communicating with those who cannot speak out the truth, both sides may engage in arguments, grievances, and attacks against each other. So how can we speak truths that are difficult to hear in a way that is still pleasant for the listener? How can we share truths that may upset relationships but are still well received in order to benefit both parties? How can we achieve effective communication, especially in difficult dialogues? The book we are sharing today will provide you with a method of truth-based communication that helps you overcome the fear of speaking the truth and eliminates communication barriers in work and life, allowing your relationships to flourish. Today's sharing is titled Speaking Based on Truth through a very useful communication book by Mark Murphy. He is ranked among the top 30 experts in the world in leadership capabilities. He is also the founder of Littleship IQ and is referred to by the media as an expert on employee engagement issues. The author is a training expert in leadership capabilities, so you will see that the examples used in this book are suitable for companies, businesses, and relationships between supervisors and employees or among colleagues. However, I believe it can also be applied in families to help parents avoid turning truth-telling into oppression or blaming their children, or it can be applied in classrooms, especially for those participating in group work. Now, let us begin today's discussion. First, we need to understand what prevents you from facing the truth. There are 4 things that kill the truth. The first is ignorance coupled with overconfidence. There is a saying that if a person has no biases whatsoever, no matter how foolish they are, they can still understand the most complex issues. But if a person believes that they fully understand the pressing problems before them, without any doubt, no matter how intelligent they are, they cannot grasp the simplest concepts. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect, and almost everyone falls prey to it. People often have illusions about their abilities and tend to overestimate themselves in light of reality. The more ignorant someone is, the less they realize their ignorance. The more foolish they are, the less aware they are of their foolishness. When one is ignorant but very confident, combined with past personal experiences differing from those of others, we can easily fall into the next thing that obscures the truth in communication, which is differences in perception. There is a story about a king of the state of Jin who, upon hearing that the world was about to starve, asked his officials, "Why don't they eat porridge with meat? Isn't it funny?" But this is a funny thing that almost everyone encounters. Different circumstances lead to different perceptions of the same reality. However, when communicating, we rarely pay attention to this difference. As a result, these differences in perception can cause difficulties in communication between people. You may not think that way, but you must think that way. At this point, you generate a third element that destroys the truth: the psychology of resistance. In psychology, there is a term called cognitive dissonance, like a fox that wants to eat a bunch of grapes but cannot. When it desperately desires it and finds it out of reach, it experiences dissonance and has to convince itself that the grapes are sour and that it does not want them. A mother may be told that she has done something terrible to her child, but she always believes she is a loving mother. In this case, cognitive dissonance arises within her. She will experience pain, so to avoid conflict within herself, she has to find a reason to prove that she is right. The lies she continues to tell will inevitably become the truth. People often fall into delusions about the truth to prevent their perceptions from conflicting, thus deceiving themselves. Unfortunately, the more they deceive themselves, the more contradictions they face, and the more problems arise in communication. The final factor that obscures the truth is when people encounter conflicting interests and do not want to face the truth. This is similar to the case of Dr. Barry Marshall in 1982, who discovered the HP bacteria that causes gastric ulcers, but no one believed him. Even when he experimented on himself by drinking a bowl of soup filled with these bacteria and began to suffer from bad breath and stomach pain, no one acknowledged that his proof was correct. It took 23 years for him to receive the Nobel Prize. Why did it take 23 years to resolve this issue? Because many pharmaceutical companies had produced a large amount of medication for gastric ulcers that were completely ineffective. If they acknowledged that the HP bacteria were the cause, that would mean they would lose all profits, so they tried everything to blind the public from the truth. You will find that most people, upon feeling that their interests are threatened, immediately protect themselves with words that contradict their true feelings. Above are 4 factors that distance us from the truth. Understanding these 4 causes allows us to communicate based on the truth more effectively. 6 principles for communicating with the truth are that: first, if you want others to accept your opinions, you need to focus solely on the truth. In the book, the author introduces a model called FIRE, which includes fact, interpretation, reaction, and result. Imagine recently you have been working in a group with a friend named Candy, and she has been arriving 10 minutes late for the past 2 days. The fact that Kelly arrived 10 minutes late is the truth, but one needs to pay attention to the structure of the human brain. The human brain is like a machine that interprets. It does not necessarily interpret the actual reality of the world, but can create different perceptions of the world for us. After perceiving a certain fact, the brain will use its accumulated experiences and knowledge to assess these perceptions, analyzing the meaning or purpose of that fact. Therefore, when you see the truth that Kelly is 10 minutes late, You immediately assign meaning to this truth. If in the past you had some disagreements with Candy or some dissatisfaction with her, this perception will influence how your brain interprets the situation of Key being late, and it will be easy to think negatively, believing that being 10 minutes late means Candy is selfish and lazy. She doesn't care about other members in the group. Based on this interpretation, you will react with anger, resulting in you not wanting to cooperate with Callie anymore. They will propose solutions based on your prejudice, which may involve asking Katie and the others to text you before group meetings so that she won't arrive late. However, these methods only make Candy frustrated and do not produce any effective results afterward. So, what should be done? The author advises us to use the file model. You should examine the statements and thoughts to determine what is true, what is an interpretation, a reaction, and the result. Categorize them accordingly, and when you look at this, you will see what really matters, the truth to focus on. The truth consists of specific, fair, objective facts that are emotion-free and timely. Timely here means not bringing up past issues and not allowing old views about the person to manipulate your current thoughts. The 5 model serves as a filter that separates the fact, F, from the other 3 elements, reminding us to focus on the truth from a detached perspective. This way, conversations won't be affected by emotions, and if your statements focus on the truth, even if the outcomes are not as expected, you will have no regrets in the future. The second tool to express the truth while ensuring the other person remains receptive is to think from the other person's perspective. In the book To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus tells his daughter that you can't truly understand a person until you stand in their shoes and consider things from their point of view. Thinking from the other's perspective does not mean sharing emotions. When the other person is sad, it doesn't require you to be sad too. It also doesn't mean that you must forgive or be lenient towards their poor actions, nor do you need to compel others to think from your perspective. The author states that if one side can empathize with the other, the conversation will be effective. Thinking from the other's perspective, also known as empathy, is essentially a cognitive activity that involves understanding the other party's difficult feelings internally. In the book, there is an experiment where a drug addiction therapist asks recovering alcoholics to take a test, and after completion, the therapist tells them that their alcohol consumption is greater than 90% of others, implying they need to continue their treatment. Naturally, the recovering alcoholics do not accept this result. They believe they haven't drunk that much. At this point, the therapist has 2 ways to respond. The first way would be to state that the experiment doesn't lie. How much they drank isn't unknown to them. The second way would be to say, I realize this result may surprise you. I understand that this may not be what you were hoping for. Just after using the second approach, the number of people agreeing to continue the alcohol treatment significantly increased. This shows the importance of thinking from the other person's perspective. You understand the other person's feelings without needing to judge whether their feelings are right or wrong, and you don't have to say you support or oppose them. Therefore, when you express the truth to someone, they might feel hurt. You must be willing to empathize and use a phrase like, I can recognize that this result surprises you, but I don't think it is something you hoped for, allowing them to accept it. This is a crucial phrase for demonstrating empathy. Next, before stating the truth, set effective goals. If you want to express the truth just to obtain an apology from the other party, or for them to realize they are wrong, or to retaliate and make them feel uncomfortable because of their own actions, then these are all ineffective goals. Most people are mistaken in pursuing such communication objectives, which focus on debate and revenge. Demanding an apology from others is merely a way for you to relieve your emotions. It does not contribute to progress or resolving the issue. So, how do you set effective goals? An effective communication goal must meet the conditions of rational handling. How do you think rationally? Look beyond to a goal 6 months down the line between you and the other party before expressing your truth. Answer the following 4 questions regarding the next 6 months. First, what do you hope the relationship between you and the other party will be like? Second, what changes do you hope will occur? Third, what do you hope to do? Fourth, what do you hope the other party will do? With this rational analysis, you will gain a perspective on how to see and use language appropriately in dialogue. Another issue is that many people, when trying to prove the truth, easily fall into an adversarial mindset with the other party. To engage in dialogue while avoiding confrontation, the author has introduced a 5-step tool with the ideas model. The first step is inviting. Invite. Invite the partner to engage in the conversation. You could say, "Would you like to talk with me about this issue?" The second step is disarming. Disarm. Remove the partner's defensiveness. You could say, "I don't want to blame you for anything. I just want to discuss our perspectives on this issue." Step 3 involves eliminating. Eliminate. Eliminating here means removing blame. The conversation about the truth should not make the wrongdoer feel uncomfortable. It should focus on solutions rather than mere reproach. Thus, you could say, "Even if you and I have differing views on this issue, we can still discuss to find a better approach." Step 4 is affirming. Affirm. Acknowledge the other party's rights. This will make them feel secure and reinforce the purpose of inviting them to the conversation, not for criticism or attack. You could continue with, "Do you think that's okay?" Finally, set a time limit, offering the other party some choices to make them feel safe, which will also help them perform better in the conversation. Without choices, it's easy for people to feel defensive. Therefore, you could ask, "Do you want to talk right now or after lunch?" These 5 statements should be made within 30 seconds to open a dialogue, not a confrontation. In the case that the matter is truly serious and the other party doesn't want to talk, you could add a line such as, "Can I ask why you don't want to discuss this with me?" If everything turns bad, and the other party is genuinely angry or says something that upsets you, you need to pause for a moment. Think about whether you can take other corrective measures. So, above are 4 things that drive us away from the truth. Understanding these 4 causes will equip us to communicate based on the truth effectively. That's the content I can share on the channel today. I hope this video will provide you with new knowledge and perspectives. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications for my latest videos. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.